It's the heat of the day. I mean, dead heat, probably noon. The kind of weather where the air shimmers and nobody in their right mind is moving. We are at the Oaks of Mamre, which is basically Abraham's front porch. Abraham is 99 years old. He's sitting at the entrance of his tent, probably trying to catch a breeze, dozing off a little. Suddenly he looks up and bam, 3 men are standing right there. They didn't walk up from the horizon. They were just there. Now, in our culture, if 3 strangers show up in your driveway, you might lock the door or pretend you're not home. But in the ancient Near East, hospitality wasn't just nice, it was a sacred duty. Plus, Abraham, being the spiritually sensitive guy he is, realizes pretty quickly that these aren't just random backpackers. Abraham, 99 years old, remember, runs to meet them. He bows low to the ground and says, "My Lord, if I have found favor in your eyes, please don't pass me by." He goes into full host mode. He begs them to stay for a morsel of bread. This is classic Middle Eastern humble bragging. He says stay for a snack, but he's about to throw a royal banquet. It's like when your grandma says, "Oh, I just whipped up a little something," and then brings out a 5-course Thanksgiving dinner. He rushes into the tent to Sarah, his wife who is 89, and says, "Quick, get 3 measures of the finest flour and bake some bread." Then he runs to the herd, picks out a tender, choice calf, and hands it to a servant to cook immediately. He sets the table under the tree, curds, milk, the veal, and the fresh bread. And here's a cool detail. He stood by them while they ate. He didn't sit, he waited on them like a waiter. That's the level of respect we're talking about. So they are eating, and they ask, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" Abraham points to the tent and says, "She's in there." Now, one of the visitors, who the Bible identifies as the Lord, drops a bombshell. He says, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son." Sarah is listening from the tent entrance behind him. And let's be real, she's 89. Biologically, that ship hasn't just sailed, it has sunk and is at the bottom of the ocean. So Sarah laughs to herself. It wasn't a loud laugh. It was an internal, cynical chuckle. She's thinking, after I am worn out and my husband is old, I'm going to have pleasure? Yeah, right. But the Lord hears thoughts. He turns to Abraham and asks, "Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Sarah, realizing she's been busted, gets scared and lies. "I didn't laugh," and the Lord very matter-of-factly says, "No, but you did laugh." Lunch is over. The men get up to leave and look towards Sodom. Abraham walks with them to send them off. Then we get this incredible moment where God talks to himself. He says, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing?" God views Abraham not just as a servant, but as a friend. He decides to tell him the plan. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin so grave that God is going down to see if it's really that bad. This outcry implies the screams of the oppressed. Sodom wasn't just partying too hard, they were violent and unjust. God wasn't acting out of crankiness. He was acting out of justice for the victims. The 2 angels walk on towards Sodom, but Abraham stays standing before the Lord. This is one of the boldest prayers in history. Abraham knows his nephew Lot lives in Sodom. He steps close to God and basically starts haggling, but for human lives. He asks, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Far be it from you to do such a thing. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just?" God says, "If I find 50 righteous people, I'll spare the whole place for their sake." Abraham breathes a sigh of relief, but then he does the math. Sodom is a bad place. 50 might be pushing it. He says, "Okay, I know I'm just dust and ashes here, but what if there are 45? God says, "I won't destroy it for 45. Abraham keeps pushing. "What about 40? "I won't do it for 40. "Don't get mad, Lord, but 30? "I won't do it. 20. For the sake of 20, I won't destroy it." Finally, Abraham goes for the floor. "Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again, but this once. Suppose 10 are found there." And the Lord answers, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." Just like that, the conversation ends. The Lord leaves, and Abraham goes home. He stopped at 10, likely assuming that between Lot, his wife, his daughters, and their future husbands, there had to be at least 10 decent people. Spoiler alert, there weren't. This chapter shows a God who shows up for lunch, eats earthly food, and shares his plans. He is not distant or unapproachable, but relational and engaged. It also shows the power of intercession. Abraham standing in the gap for a wicked city, appealing not to the city's goodness, but to God's justice and mercy.